Hey guys, what's up? This is Ryan. I am going to show you today a walkthrough of the Apparel Design Project. And I've mentioned in the last couple of videos, you're going to be combining everything that you've learned so far and put it to good use to create some different layouts or different color options for an apparel project. So this is the Apparel Design Project, basically the requirements for it. Those in my class have access to the files that I have provided. Everyone else, you can follow along and create your own. Basically, what you're going to do is, using a template, you're going to create your own layout board and make that as a template, and then use that template to create a unique design for a piece of apparel. In the case of this project, the files that I've provided, it is a rugby jersey, since we're 64 days until the Rugby World Cup 2015. Not that I'm excited or anything. So you'll create your unique design, include shapes, lines, type, and or images on that. You will need to include 3 or more colors, and you will include at least one of your own pattern. So you'll design your own pattern and add that to it. So, and then after that, you will create 3 color variations of the apparel design, and I'll give you an example of that as well. All right, the project files are, again, they're posted online in a location that I've provided to my class members. I'm debating whether I'll add that link to this video, but just bear in mind that the only reason I would want to keep that private is it has some personal information in the file itself. So maybe I'll give an alternative for anybody who's watching on YouTube and wants to follow along with the project. So basically, everybody on when you have the link, you'll save the file, and it's a zip file. You'll unzip that file, save those files somewhere to your computer. You'll extract them from the zip file. If you need help on doing that, go do a Google search on extracting from a zip file. Then you will next go to Illustrator and open up Illustrator. Again, I'm using CC. From here, you will go to File, New from Template, and by default it wants to go to your templates folder, and if you have saved it there, great. If not, just remember where you put it and go find that folder that you're looking for, or the zipped files, and here they are. I have a CS6 version for anybody who's on CS6, or if it doesn't work on your computer, I'm sorry, I don't have anything earlier than CS6 for this project. And then there's also one for the Creative Cloud 2015 version. So what you'll do is you click on that file, and then you will click New, and it will open a new document with that template. And the template looks like this. Because of the private nature of some of the information I had on the original file, I have taken those off down here. But if you're in the class, yours will look very similar. Otherwise, just bear in mind that I had some contact information down here. So here's the template. You should see the untitled artboard, and we've got untitled up here. It's this full artboard. You should see the rugby jersey on it, front and back view with the left sleeve detail. And so the first thing we want to do is open the layers panel, and that is over here, or you can click F7. And you can see we have 4 different layers. First, the board, which is, if I turn it off, you can see what goes away. It's the layout board around the outside of the artwork down here, with my company logo and a little silhouette there. This is one I'd already had previously created, so I figured I'd just use it. Then you have the design layer, which is the colors, and that also has the color information for the template itself. Then there is the team/num/logos. So that's the team name, the numbers, and the logos. And I'll click that on and off so you can see where those are. And then finally there's the outline layer. And the outline layer is basically the shape of the shirt with, or the jersey with the lines for cutting the fabric, or specifics in the design that need to be noted. So I'll turn those all back on. And the first part of the assignment is to take this layout board and make it your own. So you'll have your layout board, you'll have your own logo, your name on it, something personally identifying that says, hey, this is my work. So for example, you could have your company name down here, you could have a logo like I have, something like that, and a unique design feature. So I have these rounded rectangles around the board. I have this silhouette of the Teton mountain range as viewed from outside my front door. It's pretty awesome living in the mountains. And then I have company information here, contact information in here, and then the name of the client, and in this case it's myself. The project is the rugby jersey, and then version and date. Okay, so then also I've got the color information with swatches and the actual CMYK values of those colors as they're used. Now you could use spot colors, you could use process colors, you could use whichever you want, and I'll show you in a little bit once we get to the pattern and some of the other things how you can add multiple swatches to your color. For example, if you have a pattern overlaying on top of the color, you'll want to note that in the notes down here. All right, so you work on your artboard, you'll design it as how you would like. For example, say, and in order to do that, make sure you're on the layer. You can turn off the other layers so you can work with it. So I don't want this logo here. I don't want this mountain range here. And instead, let's say I want, let's grab the line that I want, remove that line and click from there, and I just want a straight line. Apparently it's not very straight, so we'll come to that point and then complete that line. Great. Then I can do I'm in a Zapfino mood today. So here is my cool new logo. Whoops. Don't forget to click out of text areas if you want to manipulate them. And maybe I should have did type on the line, type on a path. So anyway, close enough. For right now, that that might be all you want to do, is just put your name in there. Do some sort of design element that that this is your art or your layout board for anything that you're working with. Okay, and so once you're done with that, change your company name, your address, phone, any other contact information you'd like, and then you can either you could choose to keep it as landscape. It's a little easier in this case because our artwork lends itself really well to a wide look to it. You could do portrait if you would want, but then when you're all done, go ahead and keep all of these layers on it, and then you'll go to File and Save as Template, and from there You can either put it in your templates folder, which is kind of difficult to figure out where it is, or you could drop it in somewhere and call it new template or whatever. Actually, I think I have on the guidelines for my students. Let's do layout board and then hyphen, and let's say my name is, there we go. So last name and first initial. Of course, if you're just watching on YouTube and you're not in the class, name it whatever you want. I don't really have a rule on this, so whichever you'd prefer. Just some easy way to remember what you're doing. So then I will click Save, and now I have my new layout board. So the next thing you want to do is close it. So we'll close that, and then we will go to the very next step, the next part in this this project. So you've created your layout board, and now we're going to work on preparing the apparel design. So let's close the welcome screen, and again we will open as new from template. So there we are. It again wants to go to the default templates area. We're going to go to the new one that you just created, and there it is. And you can see all of the artwork and everything is in there, just as I left it in the template. Because templates, if you haven't been following along, go back to modules 8.1 and 8.2 to find out a little bit more about templates. But it will hold guides, rulers, or not rulers, but styles. It will hold swatches. It'll keep everything that you have as part of your artwork, and it'll all be all the layers and all the artwork separated just as you had your file. Okay, so first we're going to save this as our apparel project, and as you see, it's untitled. We want to have a title to that, so we will go save as, and I will name this apparel without the caps lock on. And there it is. I probably want to put a hyphen there between my name and the file name. And then click Save. All right, so now I have the file. The next thing I'll do is lock the board layer, and that's this little lock icon down there. You'll lock the board layer, so you have an option if you're in Creative Suite or Creative Cloud. You can turn it into a template, and it doesn't really matter at this point because there's nothing really artwork-ish. I'm making up words. There's no artwork on the board that you need to worry about for the project, for this part of the project. Once you've already created your layout board, you're good. You don't need to manipulate that anymore. Okay, so the remaining layers should be the outline, the team, number, logos layer, and the design layer. So again, going through the layers, the outline has the outlines, and basically they're just stroke, black stroke, no fill, so you can have the shape of the jersey, the shape of the sleeve, the shape of the front. And basically, if you were looking at this file in a professional setting, it would be the what the jersey manufacturer has laid out for this model of jersey. So if you have a vector outline or a piece of apparel that you would like to use instead, go ahead, feel free to use it. Just remember the requirements of the project will need to be met. and this again is only for my class. If using the jersey that I've provided, you can edit the outlines just as long as it appears to be consistent front and back and left sleeve. So for example, if you take this cut line here or this different color line here, and you want to take that out, just be sure that it is reflected on the back as well, and so you can have a solid color going this way. I'll undo that twice to go back to the original. If you want to, remove these two lines, feel free to do so. Just remember that the colors also need to be changed on that on the design layer as well. Okay, so the next thing that you'll want to do is working on the colors. I'm going to warn you right now that if you decide to use the live paint bucket, after you maybe manipulate, change the outlines or whatever, if you want to use the live paint bucket tool, I'm going to show you what can happen here. If you go to it, it is, oops, I'm sorry, it's not on that one, it's on this one, and it's K, and I should have remembered that. So anyway, I can go and change my color. Let's get a blue fill with no stroke, and then of course I select the artwork that I want to change. I could instead select all of that. Whoops, I don't want the font there, the type. Okay, so then I could come in and start clicking with my paint bucket to make the color shapes that I want. Be very, very careful of doing that, because if now I want to change the colors to match, to select colors, and you have the magic wand, it may or may not select the color. For example, it's given me the question mark here because it doesn't know what I've selected. I've got the whole object. This part here that has no fill in it whatsoever is just black stroke with no fill. It is also selected because it's part of that live paint group. So just be careful if you're working. If you want to use the live paint bucket tool, you're going to have to make sure that anything that you change or you need to select with the magic wand, as you change colors later in the project, just be careful and know that you're going to have to make some changes with that way. And so again, just be careful. You can't select everything or the color that you want with the magic wand. If you've used the live paint bucket tool, you'll have to go and choose a different method of selecting those objects. Also, again, I would much rather keep the outlines separate, because then you can draw the shapes that you need to and then copy those shapes, and I'll show you that, down to your design layer. So for example, let's say I want the this left sleeve, and I can just select that color on the existing design layer, copy that, turn off that design layer, and paste in front, and then I have that green sleeve if I want to change it, and it's still there in the outline, it's still there in my new design layer. However you want to go about it is up to you, but if you keep the lines separate from the colors, it'll make it a lot easier. Well, it won't make it easier actually. It'll make it more difficult, but it'll make it easier as a project when you are finished, and let's say you're sending it to the manufacturer. to have those cut lines as, you know, a separate shape or a separate layer, as opposed to part of that layer where everything is all together. Hope that makes some sense. However, after thinking about it, knowing how easy the Live Paint tool works, as long as you have a separate layer with the outline and a separate layer with the design, I'm okay with it. And what you may do in that case is get your Live Paint tool, change your colors, you know, do whatever you need to, choose those colors, and then, you know, work on your design shape. And let's see what else I need. One more color just for fun. Whoops, wait a minute. That one was that. And so the green color up there and there, and all right, so okay, so what you may do if you find yourself in this situation where you've colored it with the Live Paint tool, go ahead and save one copy of that layer with the outlines in it. I don't mind that because it's really difficult. Well, if no, you could just take the stroke off for that color and then make another copy, and so call that your design. And then your outline layer, just select that all again, and instead of the fill color, just use the stroke color. And then, as you see, I've got the outline in one layer, the fill color in, or all of the colors in one layer. If that makes it easy for you, I'm okay with that, because as long as you can select the colors for the next part after you've completed your design, as long as you can change the colors in your next for the next part, it'll be acceptable. Okay, so here we have this, and remember to save often on your file. I'm going to turn these two layers off because I don't really want them at this point, and go back to my original design. The other thing is, look, if you do go with Live Paint, make sure to change the colors of the layer down there, because right now I don't have that. I don't have my colors and everything like I have in this layer. Okay, so just be aware that that's there, and you'll need to change that as well, because you need to instruct the jersey company what those colors are. So again, requirements for the project are to add at least one pattern to the design. You can change the font family, the size, the color, and all of those things having to do with the font or the team name and the number. Also, you can add logos, you can place images. If you do that, if you place an image, remember to add it as a linked image or to embed it when you save the file. And if you need help with that, go to what is it, lesson 7.1 or something like that. I can't remember now. I just did it. I just recorded it yesterday. How do I not remember? Anyway, so go ahead and do that. Again, keep in mind the issue with the outlines, making sure the outlines match the colors that you have there. And then also use the swatches that I have provided here, these four colors, the blue, the green, the yellow, and the red, because as you change, which is the next step, you'll want to be able to easily change those colors. And you don't need to add colors. Like for example, if you want to make this green and then add a brown or a purple or whatever to the other sleeve, whatever you feel like you want to do to add to the design, you can do that. However, if you add another color, you don't need to worry about adding it to the swatch, to the layouts down here. Add it as a swatch because you'll need to change that color when we get to the next part. So add it as a swatch here. So if I change this to purple, add purple here. Okay, you don't need to add that down here because these are the 4 base colors and I didn't really provide room for them. If you feel like adding them down here, you can. You don't have to. Just keep in mind, be sure to add the swatch if you add a new color over here. Okay, and then when you save it, that swatch will be saved, and then I can find those colors very easily. All right, so the next process is going to be changing the colors of the artwork. Okay, so we'll pretend that I've already changed my logo, I've changed my team name, I've changed the number. Well, you can leave it number 23. That's the one of the reserve players on a rugby team, and I just use 23 because it's a nice big number. So anyway, go to your design layer and don't worry about, make sure first of all that anything having to do with these 4 colors stays on the design layer except for the number. If you change the number or team name to match the colors, that's fine. You'll take care of that later, but for now turn off all the other layers so you only have the design layer turned on. Okay, so only the design layer is visible, and then you can leave the other ones visible, but make sure they're locked so that you're not going to accidentally select them. Whichever you prefer, turn them off, lock the other layers. It doesn't matter. Only you want to select on the design layer only those colors. And so you see, as if I drag the selection or do a Control A or a Command A, I've got everything selected, and unfortunately that also means I have these color right here, and that will change my recolor process except for one thing. So if you want to make it easier for yourself, shift and click off of these color titles down here that I have in the template, or make sure that go with the magic wand tool, click the red, hold shift, click the green, hold shift, click the yellow, and shift to click the blue, and then you will only have those colors selected. Again, if you went with the outline mode, or excuse me, with the live paint bucket, it's going to be a little bit different, and so you'll have a little bit more difficulty selecting those things, but I'll show you how to do that right now so you can still follow along. So everybody else, if you haven't used the live paint tool, then just pause for a second or catch up with me when we're done talking about it. So make sure your colors are selected. All right, if you happen to create using the live paint tool, again, if you click it all, you will click all of your colors, and make sure that you don't have any black outlines selected in your artwork here. Unless black is one of your colors, then of course by all means keep the black selected. And that's why I had the color separation from the outline layer on the design layer separated from the outline layer, because now we're at the point where we need to have those colors selected appropriately. So everybody come back now. If you've if you've used the live paint tool, or you used the other method just by changing the design with the other tools, you will have your colors selected. So I've got it here for the live paint mode. I can go back down here for the artwork mode. And the next thing you'll do is go to Recolor Artwork. And that's up here in the center of the screen, in the center of the toolbar. If you happen to have your color guide panel open, it's right there. Or to find it, you can go to Edit, Edit Colors, and Recolor Artwork. And I also did a video on recoloring artwork. That one I think is actually 7.1. So anyway, follow along with that if you need to review this. And you'll go into Recolor Artwork. And here we have our colors. Now, as you can see, there are no color groups. And if you can't see this, if it looks like this, just expand the window there and it shows you your color group storage. Okay, so what you're going to do is change your colors. And first, what I want you to do is take your color settings as they are selected, and you have all of those colors that you have selected, and let's change this name here to Default Apparel Colors, and click the new folder or new color group icon. And so now it takes that name and applies it here, and you have these 4 colors. Okay, so now what you can do as you change your colors, it will not affect this at all, these colors, because we'll change and we'll add a new color group. Okay, so let's do that immediately. So new color group is whatever you want to call it. So for example, let's say I want to do blues and oranges. So I'll say blue, orange group or something, colors or whatever. And it doesn't matter what you want to call it. Just make sure that that is the whatever it is the name of your colors. And then I'm going to work with changing the colors. So in order to change colors, you can select one of the colors as your base color. So for example, if I want green to be my base color, and then I can edit using the different methods that I've shown in 7.1. Again, those are using the color library. So, the color harmony rules. So what did I say I wanted? I wanted oranges and blues. Well, I don't have any oranges and blues here, so let's cancel out of that. I've got yellows and blue colors. Those are kind of fun. But instead, I want my yellow color here to be an orange color. So I can change my hue just using the slider over here, and as you see, it will change the color unless you don't have the Recolor Art. So this Recolor Artwork, you've got to have that checked in order for your change to be viewable as you're going. It's kind of like the preview that we see in other Illustrator tools. So again, leave that checked on. If it wasn't checked on, check it on now so that you can change your colors. So I'm going with an orange. I want to go a little darker orange and maybe a reddish orange right there. That's almost a brown. But anyway, that I think is the color that I want to work with. So that will be my orange color. And now again, anything that was yellow in the original, and if you need to see what that was, just uncheck the box and then you can check it again to work. Anything that was that yellow is now going to be orange. So let's change the green to a blue, like a deep, like a nice rich royal blue. See if I can get royal here. And if you can't get it with the sliders, don't worry, there's other methods, and you still have that selected because that's the color we're working with. You can go to Edit and change either with the brightness and hue or saturation and hue. So the one that you're working with is going to be this one that has the black circle around it. So I am going to come over here and pick a nice color. I think I like that. I want to go to a little bit more bright, a little bit more blue, a little bit more bright. No, I made it less. Somewhere in there is the color that I want. Okay, so then you can remember, you can change these colors independently as we're doing, or you can link them together. I don't want to do that at this point because I still have this red over here, and I don't want the red to be red. I want it to be more of an orange. I want this like yellow orange color there. And then I want to change this blue to a deep, deep, dark purplish blue. There we go. All right, so now everything that was yellow is now orange. Everything that was green is now blue. Everything that was this light blue is now this dark bluish, purplish blue. And everything that was red is now this kind of a mustard color. If I don't want those to be the colors that they go to, then I can, of course, drag and move them around and, you know, change and manipulate it that way. I don't want to do that, though. I'm going to put it back. Okay. So then what we do is, and if you're confused about which color is which, you can click on this right here. Click on this magnifying glass thing that says click on colors above to find in the artwork. So if I click on the green, it shows me where the green is or was, which is now going to be blue. I click on the yellow, it's these stripes. Click on this lighter blue, it's this area here, etc. So that way you can see, and that just toggles on and off. You can see what the colors are right here. Okay? And then what we want to do is we don't need to come in here and do anything different because we've already created the blue-orange colors. And it will take effect when I hit Save Changes to Color Group, or if I click OK. So I'm going to do Save Changes to Color Group, and now you see blue-orange colors. And that's in this group right here. So now the thing that you have an option to do is you can either go ahead and add 2 more groups of colors. So there'll be different color variations. Say if you want to do red and green, or you want to do monotone silvery blue or whatever. It's up to you, whatever you want to do with your design. You can either at this point create those other 2 groups here. So you have your default apparel colors, you'll have your new color group, and then 2 more color groups. So it'll look like this essentially. And these two groups will be different from this group and from this group. So go ahead and make that choice if you want to do that now, or if you want to change your design after you make a copy of the artboard later, come back into Recolor Artwork and make those new colors. That is completely up to you. So make that choice, and if you want to move on without changing these colors, go ahead and click OK. If you want to change the colors, add your 2 new groups and then change those colors, however you want right now, and then save them and click OK. All right. Hopefully that didn't confuse you. You just have some options. I don't want to limit you on what you can do here at this point. Okay, so I'll click OK, and then I've got in my swatches, I have the blue and orange color group, I have my original color group, and I have these 2 others that I'm going to make changes down the road. All right. So now what we want to do, if you're following on the guideline, we're into part 3, which is duplicate the artboards. And it's going to include the completed artboard, the layout board, the apparel artwork, the design you've created, logo, name, number, everything is going to be copied in a few easy steps. And believe me, this is easy. It's a whole lot easier than it used to be in other versions of Illustrator back in the day. But this is just awesome. Okay, so what you'll want to do is go to your layers panel. Again, that's F7 if you don't have it in your panel over here, or your toolbar over here. And you will want to make sure that all layers are unlocked. So in this case, I will leave the first 2 layers because these are my live paint tool options. So you'll have your outline layer, your team name, your number and logo layer, your design layer, and your board layer. And those are all unlocked and all visible. So they're all 4 unlocked and visible. Okay? Then you will deselect everything. So Command Shift A or Control Shift A, and the next thing you'll do is go to your artboards, which is either this little tab, or you can find it here, or you can go up to the window and go to artboards. And there is no shortcut key for artboards. However, if you want to use the artboard tool, it's a whole lot more difficult. This is easier. All right, so just I want to make your life easy. Go to your artboards panel, not your artboard tool, your artboard panel. Okay, artboard tool again was over here, Shift O, ignore that part. We're going to the artboard panel and it's right there. Okay, so now everything is deselected, everything is turned on that we want to copy, and this is the easy part. You can either drag that down to a new artboard, and you see the new artboard icon down there, and let go, and as you see, it's made an artboard. Or another way you can do it is simply duplicate artboards. Up here, this little menu thing, and down to duplicate artboards. Okay, so let's do a Command Option 0, Control Option 0, or Alt 0, and that will let you see all of your artboards in the window. And now you can see we've got all 3 options here. So that is awesome. And then we'll save. Make sure to save as you go here. So we've got our 3 artboards. We've got 3 options for color. And now here is why I wanted to have give you the option of coloring. And we'll talk about that here in the next section, which is recolor the new designs. All right, now we are recoloring our artwork. You should have, if you're following along, you should have 3 identical artboards. Each artboard should have artwork on all 4 layers. Go check your layers. Yes, it does. Great. And then also what you're going to need to do, save as you go again, and we'll do the following. So the first thing we'll do is information on the board itself. If you're following on from the class, you will have the file, and you'll just zoom in to the second artboard, click the text tool, whoops, make sure you're on the board layer, and I've turned that to outlines. Why did I do that? Oh, I did that because it's so I could make sure that the font was there for everybody. So in your version, you won't have those as outlines. You'll have the version number, and you'll go ahead and change that to version 1.2 for the second artboard. And then on artboard 3, you will change that to 1.3. Okay, that's the easy part. And let's go back to full screen, or fitting in the window. Now what you're going to do is lock all your layers except the design layer. And again, remember, this is why I told you to only do your color work on the design layer, because now it's going to be so much easier. As you have 3 artboards and 4 layers, there's 12 options of where you could put something. If you kept all your color work on the design layer, it's going to make it a lot easier right now. So while you are on the design layer, go ahead and change or select your the colors that you have on this active artboard. So I'll drag a selection around the shirt, the front and back view, and the sleeve, and then I'll also hold down Shift to select around these color little color swatches down here. Okay, and then what we'll do is go to the Recolor Artwork tool, and again we find that in the center of the toolboard or toolbar here on the top of the screen, or if you don't see it, Edit Colors, Recolor Artwork, and here we have our artwork. I'm going to cancel out of that for just a second. You don't have to. And then get my screen so that I can see the colors as I'm changing them a little better. All right, so now I have my Recolor Artwork, and this is where that option that I gave you just previously, whether you wanted to create your new colors then or if you wanted to wait and do it now. So I waited, so I'm going to have to do that now, and we'll just go back to part 2 of the assignment, steps 1 through 6, which is selecting our colors and changing them to whatever we want to do now. So I'll do green and yellow colors, and then I'll change the I'll change this to a yellow. We're going to go this way, really bright. Unlink those. I want that to be a lemony yellow right there. Actually, I don't want that one to be the yellow color. I want this yellow sleeve, as bright as possible yellow right there. And knock the saturation and brightness to 100. And there it is. That's the yellow color I want. So let's see what else. I want a green color, so let's grab this one. Go to a green. I want a deep dark green. There we go. I want this blue to be like a lime seafoam green kind of mix there. Yeah, that's making me want to vomit almost. This is terribly ugly. No offense if you like those colors. And then make this one a little more like a kiwi almost. Where's a kiwi color? Somewhere like that. Okay, so that's my colors, and then I will hit save, and that's that one. And then I can do the same again now for my third color set, or I can do that later. I can click OK, move over to the next artboard, select the colors, add these colors, recolor, and from there I'll go to my blue and orange colors that I had copied here, and we'll change this one to let's see, Red Fury. I mean, you can call it whatever you want to. So alright, I'm gonna choose this color, but I want it to go red, like full, like a blood red. There we go, and make that my base color. And then I want analogous. Do I want, no, I want monochromatic. There we go. All right, and so then I will again change that color. It, for whatever reason, didn't save that. And we'll add a new color. We can trash this color set. I don't need it. And then we have this. So there's an interesting thing that you can see here. I have more colors available in my color group than I'm using. and that's okay. I can just click OK and then go into my swatches and choose which color I want to select with my magic wand. And for example, that's all of these ones here, and then I can change that color to this color if I want, or that color, or whichever color I want from the group. And again, that's entirely up to you. You can change your colors, you can leave them the way that they were, or you know, however you want to manipulate those colors. All right, so that is the third part, and the next thing you need to do is on each artboard change the color base, color 1, color 2, color 3, to reflect the processed colors that you have here. If you have a pattern, you will note that and put that also with your colors, and I'll show you an example of that here in just a second. And then when you're all done, you of course save it, save it a lot, save often, and then you can submit that to me via the appropriate sites, the BB Learn site, or email me, and you have the due date. Okay, so that is the project. Again, I said I wanted to talk about a little bit about the patterns and show you some simple basic options to change these jerseys. I'm going to go to a file I've already created, and it's sample, and you can see here I have the original in my file, but then I've also created 2 more artboards that I can show you some simple design options for something that a little inspiration. So this is a second one that I used. Again, this is more of a obviously this is a women's team. I think the jersey is a men's jersey, but okay, whatever. I'm sorry, I didn't think of that as I was working on it. So the template actually, was a men's jersey, but whatever. So now we have the Lady Dragons rugby team, and I've got purple and pink in there. You can see that I changed the team name and logo and the number to reflect those colors, and that I just did. I created my shapes and whatever prior to going with my colors, and then as I changed the colors, then I just made sure that I went into my team name layer and changed the those colors to reflect the color swatches that I had. And you'll notice here this side has a pink color with what looked like reptile scales, and that's what I was going for there. So how I did that was I created the swatch, and it's 2 parts, and I'll show you that here in a second. It's 2 parts. I have this part overlaying in pink over top of the pattern layer, and the pattern is, it's a path, and you see the path here is got this pattern in it, and I'll show you the pattern. It's this pattern here that I made with our pattern tool. And if you need help with the patterns, I created a video very recently, I'm not sure, what was it, 6.1 or 6.2, about patterns, and you go ahead and watch that, and it'll show you how to create patterns like this. So anyway, that's what's going on here. I'm going to undo so I'm out of that. Whoops, forgot to turn that back on. Okay, so that is one example, and again, this kept for the most part the outlines that I had previously created. Like in the first artboard, these lines are the same here, except for one exception here on the sleeve. As you see, the sleeve on this one has a green cap on that sleeve, and this one just has the full pink, or excuse me, full purple sleeve going all the way up. So, you know, you have options. You can change things if you want. And as you make changes, be sure that the change is reflected on both the front and the back. So I took off that sleeve. I had to make sure to take it off the back, and made sure that the purple color on the sleeve is just one solid color. Okay. Another option is this one, and this is again another sample that I just created. So I've got the two different colors of purple, this darker purple, the light purple. The darker purple is reflected on the sleeve, and it shows on the back, and you can see that. I did a treatment to the logo here, War Cats, and also to the number on the back. And then, as you can tell, I changed the style of the jersey in the front. I cut this here and made it go across, kind of look like a battle armor or something kind of thing going on there, and then showing the tiger stripes through from the back. And then of course I had to do the same thing on the back to reflect those, you know, those stripes so that they appear there. And then for my pattern, you can see here on this row it says orange/carbon fiber. So the orange is the first number, and this is the orange color, and then the carbon fiber is actually overlaid on top as a multiply on my blend layer. And I dropped that opacity down to 30%. This is what it looks like normal mode. So I created that carbon fiber pattern and then just laid it over top of that, just the orange layer, and gave it 30% opacity. And I did that for the front and the back. Remember, you've got to reflect what happens on the front on the back. So anyway, those are just some examples, and as you work on the project, you can, if you're in my class, you can ask me if you have any questions. Otherwise, feel free to comment below, and we'll see what we can do together in Adobe Illustrator as you create this apparel design project. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.